Hello everyone. Today I will be presenting on Olivia B and more specifically on her work Kids in Love. Olivia B is an American photographer who grew up in Portland, Oregon. For B, growing up in Portland greatly influenced her photography style, highlighting its vast nature filled with trees, lakes, and flowers. She spent much of her childhood outdoors, traveling around to find beautiful spaces. This is something she still does today. She spends part of the year on her farm in eastern Oregon, where she raises animals and goes and walks in the nature around her. She was also inspired by her mother's photo album, which features her mother in sun-drenched photographs while she lived in the Middle East, stating, "It inspired me to document my life. I get to live on Earth, so I might as well color my life in the most beautiful way possible and document it." I think this quote is reflected in her work, Kids in Love, a photography series presenting slice-of-life images being created between 2009 to 2013, starting the work when she was just 15 years old. Her dreamlike photos were initially meant to just document her friends and wild childhood, but later on, she compiled them into her series. B chooses to shoot her images in film rather than digital, using an Olympus OM10 dating back to the 1980s. She attributes this choice to the unique quality of film, and I do have to say I agree with this sentiment. Unlike digital images, which are able to capture every minute detail to a clinical degree of sharpness, B's images read like a memory, imperfect, as all memories are. Grain is prominent, as are processing errors resulting in odd colors or a lack of detail in some areas. Her images embrace all of these imperfections, and the resulting images appear to come from a memory of the place. Her deliberate choice of methodology thus contributes greatly to the overall look of the series and enhances its messages on the memories of youth. For example, in this image on the left, a light leak results in this hazy pink effect, creating the feeling of a faded memory. And on the photo in the right, the lens flare and blown-out highlights seem to imitate how one would see the scene in real life, just like how when you look into the sun and everything is just too bright. A common feature of her work are motion-blurred images, sometimes subtle, sometimes blurred to the point of providing anonymity for her friends. This adds a layer of motion to the work, showing that it's not just a camera on a tripod that has been placed in the scene. She is present, and she moves along with the scene. This is her life. For example, in this photo titled Screamo, which is a genre of aggressive guitar-driven music with screaming vocals, B appears to be moving to the rhythm of the music, capturing the feeling of joy of creating and sharing music with her friends, while also using photography to show the energy in the music. In this other photo, titled Running Water, her rapid camera movement shows that she is there with her friend. The photo thus transforms from just a photo of a girl running in the water to a photo about two friends playing in the water. Her presence in these photos is thus implied through this motion blur. This unique photography style was influenced by the photographer Ryan McGinley, whose series The Kids Were Alright captures his wild youth. This influence is clear in B's work, in their candid style and careful use of photographic imperfections to enhance the work. Beyond just being a photography series, I find that Olivia B's work has taught me 4 key things about photography and life. Firstly, look around you. What I find fascinating about B's work is her ability to make something so simple and seemingly mundane, our everyday lives, and she makes it look so beautiful. She shows us that there is beauty in the capturing our everyday lives, and it asks of the viewer, what is beautiful about your life? What goes unnoticed? What scenes do you see every day? This is something that interests me greatly. In today's digital world, I've noticed a growing phenomena where people spend so much time fixated on their phones, on their work, instead of enjoying the beautiful world around them. When I walk through the CBD, I find that everyone is just gazing down in a rush to get somewhere. No one ever looks up. This is where I think B's unique perspective can impact the viewer by exposing things one wouldn't have previously noticed. Secondly, you don't need a set purpose when embarking on a project. B's work is unique because unlike most photographers who set out photographing a project with a clear intention in mind, B shot Kids in Love without any idea that it would end up being a photo series, shooting it just because it made her feel something, and it was something she enjoyed. She states that she started just making photos of her friends, but later on realized that her photographs all follow similar themes of the transient nature of youth. B captures these individual moments in time and weaves them together to form this beautiful narrative on the emotionally charged life of teens. Together, they form the story of her youth. This photo, like the title says, depicts Max, her brother, after he decided to jump off a moving train. While at first glance, it may just appear to be an ordinary portrait, I find that it carries messages on teenage rashness and all the crazy things we're able to do when we're young. Images like these are difficult to stage, and seeing these photos and knowing that there's a story behind them, that this actually happened, gives you a very different feeling as compared to knowing that B staged this photograph. Youthful adventures is a constant theme throughout her work, such as in this photo, Whose House Is This?, where they seem to have ventured into an abandoned house. And this photo, Paris in the Sunrise, where her and her group of friends walk along illegally by the railway tracks. This photo in particular stands out to me because her friend is captured mid-glance, creating this feeling of connection between the photographer and the subject. I find it interesting that these photos could only be captured at this point in her life. Today, B finds it much more difficult to capture these candid moments, and finds that she has to stage these scenes instead, which often lack the same emotional connection that is present in this work. Thirdly, images create a better story in a series. When I first saw this image produced by B, titled Oregon, Thank You, my initial reaction was that it's just a normal photo of a mountain, nothing more. But after looking through the full series, I now see that when accompanied with the other photos, this landscape evokes a sense of longing for the place and the memories that are tied to it. This image of Mount Hood, a key landmark in Oregon, shows the viewer that away from all these scenes of youth, this is where the story takes place. Finally, forming a connection with your subject is crucial. Capturing such pure emotions from everyday life is a challenging task, and another photographer I believe has managed to do so is Alain Laboile, a French photographer who captures black and white photos of his family. He captures this sense of youthful freedom through candid photographs of his 6 children as they run around the farm. To me, one clear trait that they share is that they are emotionally connected to the subject matter of their work, and this is strongly reflected in the images they produce. For Laboile, it's his family, and for B, it's her friends. This mutual love and trust between the photographer and the subject is what allows for these intimate portraits of life to be created. They allow the photographer to just be a fly on the wall, allowing the people around them to just act their normal selves. B herself states that her friends have gotten used to her bringing her camera around, and they don't pose or pay any attention to the camera when it's brought to her eye. I think that in today's world of photography, where much work is focused on conceptual photography or the documentation of major events, B's work is a breath of fresh air. She captures the idiosyncrasies of everyday life through the unique perspective of a teenager, which makes this work something you can really only do once in your life, and hope to be able to do so too. Olivia B has managed to find and capture the beauty in her life. What's yours? Thank you.